The Brewers and Cubs in Game 4 of the NLDS in Chicago.
It is gone! Jake Bauers having himself a night here at Wrigley.
Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 7:30. October runs through the home of the Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
It's 10 o'clock and 51 degrees. We have a lovely fall day on tap, sunny and pleasant, high of 61. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Jessica Tai. A breakthrough in the Middle East. Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a peace deal after more than 2 years of war. This is expected to lead to the release of all hostages and hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. CBS's Aaron Navarro has reaction from the White House.
We're hearing from several administration sources that one turning point that led to this deal were the Israeli strikes on Doha. That was something that President Trump disagreed with and at one point put pressure on Netanyahu, and during an in-person meeting at the White House had him talk to the leaders of Qatar and apologize for those strikes. Administration sources say that that moment created, quote, positive opportunity and led to maximum pressure from President Trump on both sides to get this deal done.
The Israeli government will convene to approve that deal. Ahead of a critical court hearing today about whether to block federalized National Guard troops from operating in Illinois, federal officials are clarifying what the troops will be doing. ABC's Chuck Sievertson.
500 guardsmen will be deployed to Cook County from Texas and Illinois to protect the ICE facility in Broadview and the district courthouse in Chicago, says a sworn declaration in court filings by a U.S. Army commander. Officials with ICE and Border Patrol submitted court documents arguing that Chicago has seen unprecedented violence and blatant disregard for law and order. Local and state officials have said that is not the case.
Chicago and Illinois filed suit Monday to stop the deployments, calling them unnecessary and illegal. A federal judge hands down a sentence for a Wisconsin man accused of smuggling lab equipment to Russian companies.
68-year-old Andrew Pogosian, a Russian-born U.S. citizen who lives in Madison, will spend a year in federal prison. Back in June, federal prosecutors charged Pogosian with 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the U.S. and 3 counts of smuggling. Prosecutors say 3 years ago, Pogosian started using his company to ship lab equipment to Russian companies, including one that performed chemical research for the Russian military. Officials say that was a violation of trade sanctions. Neil Doyle, WTMJ News.
A 29-year-old is now charged in connection to starting that massive fire in the Pacific Palisades. Federal officials say the man started a small fire on New Year's Day that smoldered underground before reigniting nearly a week later and roaring through neighborhoods. We talked with Burlington native and Pacific Palisades resident Caitlin Morrell at Wisconsin's Midday News.
What was taken away from all of us was this very paradise-like small-town Midwest feeling that we all know and love so much, something that you don't always get in today's society. So I think that's the hardest thing, is that, people that have done really great things in the world and for other people had so much taken away from them.
Morale told us she's still trying to get her home remediated from smoke damage. Meanwhile, some of her neighbors are now rebuilding. The Cubs are flying the W down in Chicago after a 4-3 win over our Brewers in Game 3 of the NLDS. They scored all 4 of their runs in their first inning against an Illinois native.
Starting in his home state against the team he grew up admiring, Brewers starter Quinn Priester was charged with 4 runs in just 2/3 of an inning before exiting the game.
Everyone else played real well with the exception of myself, so definitely feel like that's entirely on me.
5 Brewers relievers combined to keep the Cubs off the scoreboard the final 7 innings, and while the Brewers chipped away, they left the bases loaded in the 8th following a leadoff double from Jackson Churio. Pat Murphy's lineup just 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Greg Matzik, WTMJ News.
Game 4 is tonight at Wrigley Field. First pitch, 8:08. Our coverage starts at 7 p.m. with Brewers warm-up. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. So far, everything is down. The Dow down 168 points to 46,433. S&P 500 is down nearly 15 points to 6,738. And the NASDAQ is down 58 points to 22,984. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 10:05.
If you've ever worried about your heart, if you've ever loved someone with heart disease, if you've ever wondered if you're the one at risk, let's remind ourselves that we are not powerless. Because at the Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network, we're pushing to outsmart heart and vascular disease by working with you personally to understand your history, assess your risks, and guide you to heart strength. By digging deep with tireless research and offering access to leading-edge clinical trials. And for the most serious conditions, including heart failure, heart valve disease, arrhythmias, and vascular diseases, we provide renowned expertise and the most advanced life-saving procedures you expect from academic medicine. So let's get out in front of heart disease. Let's outsmart it. Let's keep pushing so that every one of us can outrun it and embrace every beautiful day life in Wisconsin has to offer. To learn more about our nationally renowned heart and vascular care, visit freighter.com/heart.
Start your weekend tonight with a free dinner at the historic Fox and Hound Supper Club near Holy Hill. Witness the spectacular fall colors as you drive through the Kettle Moraine Forest to the Fox and Hounds. Tonight only, enjoy an 8-ounce beef tenderloin paired with a mahi-mahi topped with mango salsa, potato, super salad, and the Fox and Hounds homemade bread with honey cinnamon butter for $68.99. And that's for 2 dinners. Relax with an old-fashioned, over 20 bourbons, and 100 wines in the 8 unique dining rooms. The Fox and Hounds is off Highway 167, east of the Holy Hill Shrine. The fall colors are breathtaking. Enjoy 2 beef tenderloin and mahi-mahi dinners tonight only for $68.99. All other dinners are buy one, get one free. Desserts, too. Tables are open. Serving from 4 p.m. Call and reserve. Google the Fox and Hounds for your free dinner.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. The Brewers have yet to name a starter for Game 4 of the NLDS tonight. First pitch is scheduled for 8:08 in Chicago. Through 3 games, the teams have combined to score 18 runs in the first inning.
Both teams come out firing. That's what it's about. And they know us, we know them. There's a lot of emotion in the game, and it says something for both teams, really.
Coverage of tonight's game begins following the 7 o'clock news right here on WTMJ. The preseason continues for the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. They take on the Pistons here at home. And despite the bye week, the Packers still listed 14 players on the first injury report. That includes 11 who were limited or did not practice on Wednesday. Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. The only big incident right now being reported by DOT up on the big board is in Milwaukee County. A disabled vehicle, 4394 north, right around 4194 north. Right shoulder is blocked due to a car that's broken down, but I don't see any backups because of it. And here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny and pleasant today. Our high temp is 61. Tonight, partly cloudy. We'll dip down to 50 for the low. Tomorrow, we have a slight chance for rain in the morning, partly cloudy otherwise, high of 66. Saturday looks great, mostly sunny, high of 63. Sunday, mostly sunny, but we do have a chance for rain Sunday night, high of 64 on Sunday. Monday, slight chance for rain, high of 68. It's currently 48 degrees in Waukesha, 54 in Kenosha, and 51 right here in downtown Milwaukee. I'm Jessica Ty. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scafidi and Kristin Brey.
Good morning. I did hear from Steve this morning. I woke up from a text. The first text I've gotten from him, and it was a picture of his view by the pool and his little snack by the pool. And I said, "Are you going to come back?" And he goes, "I think so." I was like, "Wouldn't blame you if you didn't." So he is doing well. He will be back next Friday. We miss him, but we march on. So we have some fascinating guests. As always, we're going to have Jeremy and Janine in the 11 o'clock hour to talk all things Milwaukee. But I first wanted to talk about, getting high. And the ways you can legally get high in Wisconsin right now is CBD products, Delta 8 products. And so, as we all know at this point, we've been talking about there is no medical marijuana, even that in Wisconsin. We talked last week and this week about a new bill from Republicans trying to have a very narrow way to legalize medical marijuana. I think Robin Voss on Upfront said that's likely not going to happen. But the flip side of this is the fact that there's no regulation on hemp products in Wisconsin. And so I've written about this. I think I wrote about it last year, was the fact that there is this weird inverse of being one of the few states that has no medical marijuana, no recreational marijuana whatsoever, and yet has not done anything to try to regulate basically what happened with the loophole in the 2018 Farm Bill that legalized the sale of hemp and so like THCA, Delta 8, HHC. And so now at all these different places, you can buy products that do get you high but are not technically weed. And so finally, I won't say finally, but now there is, in addition to that bill that says, oh, maybe we should finally legalize medical marijuana, there has also been an introduction of a bill in Wisconsin that would cap the total THC content and basically ban these products. So it would cap the content at 0.3%. Effectively, all of those products you can get right now would go away, and only industrial hemp and CBD would remain legal. So, if this were to pass, hundreds of dispensaries and smoke shops across the state would have to remove portions of their inventory. And this is on top of already the state has banned tobacco vapes that aren't approved by the USDA, the FDA. And so that's already been kind of a hit to some of these shops. But I am on the side, when you started learning last year, I think John Dietrich did a really good investigative report on this, of having no regulation on Delta 8 products is also an issue, right? Like, so right now in Wisconsin, the same place where you can't even get a prescription for medical marijuana, there is no regulation on these Delta 8 products on where they can be sold, so that you can find them at malls and gas stations, and there's no rules on testing, so like their purity or potency. There's no rules on their packaging if they look like candy, and there's not even really rules on age limits. And part of Dietrich's investigation last year was the fact that there are people getting sick from these, because since there is no regulation on how these products are made and the way that they, like, the concentration of the hemp, the science, I'm going to screw this up, but basically how they get a gummy, let's say, to be potent enough to get you high, it's hard to control. And so people are getting sick. Like in 2023, there was 145 reports of people getting sick from these products, and 47 of them were children under the age of 12. And so on the one hand, I definitely think we need to keep people safe and we need to have actual conversations about these products. But on the other hand, I don't think Republicans are going to get very far trying to ban it entirely without Democrats and Governor Evers using that as a negotiating leverage to get some movement on marijuana. And so it's kind of like a rock and a hard place of how do we move forward. And so this isn't just a Wisconsin thing either. There are now on Capitol Hill 35 lawmakers who are trying to recriminalize hemp. And so when we come back, we're going to talk to a hemp economist, which I did not know that was such a thing, but it is. And we're going to talk about the financial impact of hemp that it has on Wisconsin and the country since it's been legalized in 2018, and what compromises exist to both regulate it for people's safety while not getting rid of it entirely. So stay with us on Point Taken.
Are you struggling with stubborn weight gain during perimenopause or menopause? It's not your fault. Your changing hormones are forcing your body to store fat, no matter how little you eat or how much you exercise. But there's hope. The Milwaukee Weight Loss Proprietary Natural Program helps restore your metabolism and reset your hormonal balance so you can finally lose the weight and keep it off. No counting calories, no prepackaged meals, no injections, just real results. Join thousands of women who've discovered how to lose 10 to 20% of their body weight in just 8 weeks to feel like themselves again. Visit MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com now to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scafidi here. After a summer in the maintenance phase, I'm back in reduction mode. I'm going to lose 10 more pounds. That means I'll have lost 50 pounds since January. The best part, none of the intense workouts, no meals or shakes, none of the meds or injections. Many patients see 20 to 30 pounds come off in just a month or two. Book your free consultation today at 262-393-2334 or online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi here to talk about my brand new show, WTMJ Outdoors. Coming up, we're talking turkey. That's turkey hunting season in Wisconsin. A great vets organization doing some great work for our vets who need our help. And we wrap it up with the waterways of Wisconsin with Milwaukee Riverkeeper. All things Wisconsin Outdoors. Join us every Saturday, 2 to 3, right here on 620 WTMJ.
It's WTMJ Outdoors, presented by Outdoor Living Unlimited.
Fly ball, left field. Hap on the warning track. Hap at the wall. It's gone!
It's the Brewers and Cubs in Game 4 of the NLDS in Chicago.
Back is Hap at the track. It is gone! Jake Bowers having himself a night here at Wrigley.
Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 7:30. October runs through the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey, and we are talking about hemp and hemp products, including the Delta 8 products that can legally get you elevated in Wisconsin, despite no legal access to recreational marijuana here. And so with both bills being introduced in Madison and talks in Capitol Hill about kind of pushing the rewind button on the 2018 Farm Bill loophole, we're going to talk to Bo Whitney, who is a chief economist at Whitney Economics and is a hemp economist. What does that mean, Bo?
Well, it's actually, I look at the total market for both adult use and medical cannabis as well as hemp. So I've been investigating this from an economic perspective for the last 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's there's not too many economists that look into this, mainly because of the professional stigma attached to it. But I've persevered and developed quite a business both in the U.S. and internationally.
Quite a niche.
Associated with it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So for people, because I think a lot of times when we think of the 2018 Farm Bill and what it unleashed as far as, like I said, these Delta 8 products, but it is an entire industry that is like a food, fiber, wellness market. So like what is kind of, how do you encapsulate everything that falls under what the 2018 Farm Bill did for hemp?
Yeah, basically it decoupled from a narcotics scheduling perspective. It decoupled hemp from the higher THC adult use and medical cannabis. And so as a result, they gave the USDA authority to determine what's hemp and what's not. And they test it in the field, and they have a very specific test by federal definition. And if it's determined to be hemp in the field, then it's hemp throughout the entire system. And if it's not, then it's considered marijuana. And so as a result of all of this, there was a huge surge in interest by farmers in order to grow hemp as a result of the legalization or the decoupling from the Controlled Substances Act. And at that time, this product called CBD was in vogue. There wasn't a whole lot of supply for it and a huge amount of demand. And anytime there's that dynamic, then prices skyrocketed. So it wasn't uncommon to see a price of $40,000 per kilo of CBD. And that was what sparked the interest of the farmers and the processors and all these retailers to jump in. What happened, though, was everybody jumped in. There was over 500,000 acres of licensed production in 2019, right after the Farm Bill was implemented. And 82%, according to our surveys nationally, 82% of that was towards cannabinoids or CBD. You had this huge influx, but not enough infrastructure to handle that. And so there was a huge surge in inventories. And then when there's an oversupply and relative to the demand, the farmers and processors couldn't bring this to market and prices collapsed. And so there was a huge surge in acreage licensed and then a huge collapse in acres licensed. And so by 2022, the number of acres licensed for hemp cultivation fell below pre-Farm Bill levels. Now it's starting to rebound because the market is right-sized. But you had all of this excess inventory, and from that excess inventory, people needed to innovate in order to generate some type of revenue from that. And so people started looking at how to convert CBD into other products. And so the whole surge in cannabinoid products was born around that time. There was innovation prior to that, but that's when it really hit. So it went from being a kind of a novel market to a market that we forecasted to be between $28.4 billion and $35 billion when all is said and done.
Can you put that in context? Like, what's another industry that's around that size?
Well, I think of like chicken, all the chicken sales.
Very popular, chicken.
Yeah. And, like the value of Kentucky bourbon is $5.6 billion, so a total addressable market. So you had a huge surge in demand. Now, part of this was converted into intoxicating products like Delta 9, Delta 8, Delta 10, HHC, and then others remained in the non-intoxicating area that some would claim have medicinal purposes or wellness purposes, and that was your CBD and your CBG and CBN. So those are meant to look at inflammation and pain and anxiety, and so those products have been pretty well adopted throughout the entire U.S. marketplace.
Got it. All right, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to talk about the bills or the conversations that are happening at Capitol Hill of trying to recriminalize it, and then get your thoughts on what's a good middle ground as far as not getting rid of it and losing all of this money that's gone into this huge industry while still keeping people safe. So our guest is Bo Whitney, Chief Economist at Whitney Economics. Stay with us on Point Taken.
The dance of sunlight on water.
Shimmering, sparkling, beautiful, hypnotic.
Houses that overlook a gorgeous body of water are the most highly desired houses in the world.
The Bellamare collection of fine jewelry features classic white diamonds flanked and surrounded by rare and exotic blue diamonds.
Bellamare means beautiful water.
Bellamare, sunlight on water, glimmering and twinkling.
The dance is enticing.
The look is spectacular.
The impact is exciting.
Blue and white diamonds created in the heart of Mother Nature
will dance and sing on the body of a glittering, sparkling woman.
Bellamare. This blue and white beauty of sunlight on water
should be worn on the fingers,
the wrist,
the neck, and the ears
of the woman you love.
The Bellamare collection is available only at Kessler's.
We do diamonds better because diamonds are what we do.
For the location of the Kessler's nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
It's Gina Della. You've heard me define what makes Pella Windows and Doors different. Let me introduce you to the woman behind the billboards, commercials, and share my extraordinary journey of resilience, reinvention, and shattering glass ceilings every Saturday morning at 6:30 on 620 WTMJ and anywhere you stream podcasts for What's the Difference with Gina Della to discuss business coaching across all industries, featuring successful executives, entrepreneurs, and mentors along the way. This is a story you won't want to miss.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano talking with Dr. Mike Nolte at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Doc, a lot of people are hesitant to visit a surgeon for spine care.
The good news is that the vast majority of patients that I see and the majority of conditions that I can see can be successfully treated without surgery. And I don't want patients to think that just because you're seeing a spine surgeon means that you're going to be signing up for surgery. We talk about, in my clinic, kind of a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C.
Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, there is a difference. orthowisconsin.com.
Who doesn't need a seasonal wardrobe update? But who has the cash to always keep their wardrobe updated? Ladies, that's why you shop St. Vincent de Paul. Our women's clothing is always a highlight of our stores, and thrift store prices keep the costs low. It allows you to experiment and also find a hidden gem. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Whoa! What are these? Screamin' Sicilian loaded breadsticks. Available in 2 great flavors, cheesy garlic or pepperoni. Both delicious. Screamin' Sicilian doesn't play around. They're fully loaded breadsticks that come in their own bakeable tray.
Dang! Woo! These are next level. Are they the main course?
Nah, just the appetizer. Find Screamin' Sicilian loaded breadsticks in your local grocer's freezer section. Screamin' Sicilian loaded breadsticks. Bring the party, bring the flavor.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey. We're talking to Bo Whitney, chief economist at Whitney Economics. He focuses on hemp and THC industries. And so I got wind of this because I think I saw kind of a press release that was talking about there are 35 lawmakers in Capitol Hill who are working towards basically killing the hemp industry. Is that correct? Like, is that a fair way to describe it?
They're proposing legislation to put significant limits on the consumer access and the manufacturing of these products.
So are they focused on the intoxicating products, or would this also impact, like what you were saying before, as far as wellness, fiber, food?
Yeah, the legislation that's being proposed both at the state level and at the national level has unintended consequences. And so although they're trying to address cannabinoids, the language is so imprecise that it's impacting the fiber and the grain markets and the seed markets. And it's not only impacting U.S. Demand and supply, but it's also impacting international markets.
Is there a lot of support for this? I saw that there's 35, which obviously is not enough. But as like when you listen to lawmakers, like, where do most people fall as far as like, well, we've opened the gates and we can't like shut them again, or is there, we should have never opened the gates in the first place?
Well, they have this common narrative that kids are dying, and you're supporting cartels, and you're supporting the Chinese, all this dirty product coming in from China, and a lot of the
is that true?
Narrative. Well, there is harm, of course, and there's access to by youth in terms of getting access to these products. The cartel, I think, is overblown due to all the stuff going on in Venezuela and the like. There is Chinese imports, and there's less regulation associated with Chinese imports than there are regulations associated with U.S. production. So there's, a narrative there. But what lawmakers haven't understood is the economic impact that this entire industry is having on the U.S. I mean, there's $28 to $35 billion worth of demand for cannabinoid products. There's 328,000 to 350,000 jobs associated with the industry. There's hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes, sales taxes that are derived at the state level. I mean, so once they start digging into the numbers, they're like, oh, wow, I have no idea. And I've talked to senators and representatives on Capitol Hill, and once they get some data in front of them, then they're like, oh, I didn't know this. And so it's a lot of the lawmakers are emotional, and so they either have a positive emotion or a negative emotion about cannabis policy, and usually it's these negative emotions without data that is driving this legislation.
So what, from your expert vantage point, what is some logical regulation? Because like I said, there are people getting sick. Like in Wisconsin, we're one of the states that has like literally no regulation on these products and like where they can be sold, how they can be packaged. And so from where you sit, what do you think is more reasonable to not cause harm to the industry, but also keep people safe?
Well, the industry recognizes that there's both positives and negatives associated with these products. What the industry is asking for, and I've talked to hundreds of businesses, I sent out surveys to over 40,000 businesses across the United States, right? And what they are asking for is not recriminalization, but they're asking for sensible legislation, labeling, testing, age gating. But the legislators, both at the state level and the federal level, seem to be in this either or proposition. There's either recriminalize it and treat it like marijuana, or do nothing and be paralyzed waiting for the FDA to get involved or waiting for other federal agencies to get involved. So, but I think just a logical first step would be age gate it, check IDs, test it for safety, and label it so that the consumer knows what the products are, and really be disciplined about that. And I think that's a common and logical first step.
I think that is also a common and logical first step, nuance. But all right, well, thank you. Yeah, exactly. But thank you so much for your time today, Bo. This is fascinating, and hopefully we can have some of these lawmakers have some nuance. So Bo Whitney is... Oh, I got to let you go because we're going to news. But thank you so much for your time today, Bo.
Yep, bye.
News is next.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Sherry Preston. Israel and Hamas agreeing to a pause in their 2-year-old war. The Israeli cabinet is meeting right now and is expected to ratify the proposal. ABC's Karen Travers is at the White House with more on the first phase of the plan that was put forth by President Trump.
We know that in this phase 1 agreement, this is the plan now that would see the release of potentially all the remaining hostages, the release of Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, and that partial withdrawal of IDF forces from Gaza. That is phase 1. But there are a lot of questions about what phase 2 would look like and how those negotiations could be very complicated. And we have seen negotiations fall apart before when they got to phase 2.
As a part of phase 2, including that withdrawal from certain parts of Gaza, further governance of the territory is also in question. For now, though, phase 1, once the Israeli cabinet signs off on it, the hostages expected to be released within 72 hours. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 10:31. I'm Jessica Ty. Breaking news this morning, a heavy police presence right now in Milwaukee's north side. We know one person is dead after a shooting. The medical examiner tells WTMJ they were called to the area of 49th and Mill Road. We have calls into Milwaukee police to confirm the circumstances surrounding the shooting. We'll keep you posted with updates. We now know the identity of a man who died after a fireworks explosion inside an apartment in Oak Creek. The medical examiner says it was 29-year-old DeAndre Lawrence who was found unresponsive Wednesday morning at the Seasons of Orchard Hills apartment complex. Initial reports indicate a large amount of fireworks exploded in the kitchen of that apartment. Lawrence died at the hospital. And a holy wager for the NLDS. The Archbishop of Chicago and the Archbishop of Milwaukee made a bet. If Milwaukee wins, Chicago has to send Chicago-style pizza from Lou Malnati's. If Chicago wins, Milwaukee has to send brats. All of the food will be donated to feed the poor. The Brewers lead the series right now, 2-1. Time for news about your money. Here's the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. We are still all in the red, but there's a way to go before the closing bell. The Dow is down 176 points to 46,425. S&P 500 is down 22 points to 6,731. And the NASDAQ is down 90 points to 22,953. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Checking out the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic, and I like what I see. The one disabled vehicle that we had out there the last time I chatted with you has now cleared. Great news. And the only delays I'm seeing are in Milwaukee County on 41. Looks like right now the delays go from about Bradley Road all the way down to Good Hope Road, and then you're good. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny and pleasant today. Our high temp is 61. Tonight, partly cloudy. We'll dip down to 50 for the low. Tomorrow, slight chance for rain in the morning. Partly cloudy otherwise. High of 66. Saturday looks awesome. Mostly sunny. High of 63. That's a great fall day. Sunday, mostly sunny, but we do have a chance for rain Sunday night. High of 64 on Sunday. Monday, a slight chance for rain and a high of 68. Let's check out those temps right now. They are going up. It's currently 55 degrees in Waukesha, 57 in Kenosha, and we're now up to 58 in downtown Milwaukee. I'm Jessica Ty. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 10:34.
WTMJ's Julia Fellow for Appliance Gallery on Wisconsin Avenue in Milwaukee, home to the state's most up-to-date luxury appliance showroom, featuring top brands like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Bosch, GE Cafe, and more. They work seamlessly with your designer or contractor. Customize with colors from Blue Star and True Residential. As a small family-owned business with one location, they handle everything from start to finish. Visit ApplianceGalleryWI.com or stop in today.
Your way inside the huddle.
Hut one, hut two.
Without putting on any pads. It's Green and Gold Insiders on Wisconsin's Afternoon News. Every day of the regular season at 4:15.
We asked Matt LaFleur today, what are you hoping to get out of this bye week? And his answer was one word: health.
Green and Gold Insiders is presented by Window Nation. It's Green and Gold Insiders all season long, right here on WTMJ.
I know why you continue to live in pain. It's because you don't believe anything can be done to help. Maybe you bought into something and you've been burned before. I mean, your skepticism, it's understandable. This is Rejuvenex founder Richard Salinas. And here we use powerful, anti-inflammatory, and cushioning pharmacological medicines to ease your pain. They're FDA approved, and most medical insurance is going to pay for our treatments, including Medicare and Medicaid. And that's the litmus test. Because if insurance has shown to cover the cost of many of our patients' treatments, you can be sure it's valid medicine. It's not a biological treatment considered experimental or some new gimmick that's trying to hook you. The Rejuvenex approach to pain relief is legitimate. It helps to alleviate pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. And from what we've seen, it gives people a new lease on their lives.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Call today, and there's a good chance we'll see you tomorrow.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey. And, oh God, when was that? When did Taylor Swift get engaged? August? Does that sound right? Ish? Anyways, so after she got engaged, I wrote one of my columns at Journal Sentinel about what I thought were the benefits of finding love after 30 and juxtaposing that against the message that Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk was putting out there about, you know, telling young women that they needed to get married before they were 30 and how I thought that was bad advice. And from that article, our next guest reached out to me and told me about a book that he wrote and it was coming out about Christian nationalist aims and Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk. But this was all before Charlie Kirk was murdered. Now, I think 3 weeks it's been since his murder. Dr. Matthew Bodie's book is coming out, and the book is called The Seven Mountains Mandate, Exposing the Dangerous Plan to Christianize America and Destroy Democracy. And Dr. Bodie joins us now. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
I'm happy to be here.
So before we get into the book, I want to address the obvious because I guess first, after knowing and researching Turning Points USA and Charlie Kirk, what was your reaction at when he was murdered, considering how much time you had spent, I guess, getting to know him, even if it was from afar?
So I do feel like I knew him. I've been in several rooms in which he was in. I haven't met him personally, but yes, I've watched and heard of many of a word that he has said. And when I got the notification from my wife that he'd been shot, I knew that it was bad. You don't shoot like that on a college campus and it not go well. And then, several minutes later, got the notification that he was dead. I got choked up because I knew that his wife was now a widow and I have two small kids like they do. And so all those thoughts rushed in. But I also knew that we as a nation haven't seen an assassination like that in several decades. And to see that on social media, and sadly I came across the video there in the first few minutes after it was posted. It was just a difficult time for me because, again, I felt like I know him, and they're certainly aware of me being on their professor watch list, but I felt very sad for him and his family, but also for our nation.
So then I have to ask the obvious follow-up question. Are you nervous for this book to come out? Because obviously in the aftermath of that, stories across the country of people getting fired for things they posted on social media, and knowing that you had worked on this book and the release date was already set, but yet it was still in the aftermath of his death.
The book is out. It was out on September the 30th. You can buy it at any bookstore. And I think that, the list of people, the database of people that I've created about social media comments and getting them fired, yes, I was concerned about that. My social media is dominated by Charlie Kirk. I don't often make inflammatory comments or crazy comments, but I do think I was worried about becoming the face of a movement that was against Charlie Kirk, because while we haven't learned much about the motives of the shooter, we have learned something, that he did not like Charlie or did not like certain parts of Charlie's ideology or wanted to stop Charlie's plan for America. And look, I have a book about Charlie's plan for America. So I did not want to be connected to that at all. And that has not happened, but at the same time, you never know when your life is going to go viral.
That is true. So you mentioned it, and I was going to ask about it, because one thing I think a lot of people don't know is that Turning Points USA did have this professor watch list, and you've been on it. You were early on it, correct?
Yeah.
And so can you explain first what that was or is and how it impacted you?
So Turning Point, before really very few people knew who it was, in 2016 after the election came out with this list of professors they didn't like. Now, they're not the first group to target professors, but they're the first group to kind of go viral with this list. And there was about 100 professors or so on the list, and I was one of the early ones because I wrote an opinion piece in our local newspaper about arguing against what became law in Georgia, that you can carry concealed firearms on college campuses. And to be honest with you, I had written that a couple months before and I had forgotten about it because they passed the bill and signed the law. And then Turning Point, as they often do, takes other people's works and conglomerated to their website and says, no, we're just putting it out there so you know that it's out there. They call it a professor watch list. They specifically say they don't want to get you fired. But they make a list and have you on it for a reason. And they've added to my profile over the years of things I've said and things I've tweeted. And it's a nice little profile with my picture and my contact information and where I work. So yes, over the years, certainly many of my colleagues have gotten harassing emails and have had to change their locations. We saw that recently in the last week of a Turning Point chapter at Rutgers University targeting a professor there. So this list is not just a rhetorical thing. It very much matters and has real effects on people. Now, I personally have not gotten a lot of mail, and I think that's because I'm white and a guy, but my female colleagues and my black colleagues and people who study controversial areas certainly have gotten on the list and have been targeted in many different ways.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking at the clock. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's get into the book and dive in a little bit more about, because I think Christian nationalism is a term that gets thrown out a lot, but the layperson doesn't actually understand what it is, if it's something that people self-identify as, or if it's a label. So when we come back, let's get into that. Our guest is Dr. Matthew Bodie, who is a professor of rhetoric at the University of North Georgia and is the author of The Seven Mountains Mandate, Exposing the Dangerous Plan to Christianize America and Destroy Democracy. We'll be back after this.
For over 40 years, the Boucher Automotive Group is proud to have served Wisconsin with dedication and heart, one customer at a time. But we knew we could do even more.
In the last 5 years, we've expanded across the state, adding new locations, new brands, and new ways to better serve you.
At Boucher, growth isn't always about being bigger. It's about being better. Better selection, better service, better experiences.
Where you're going matters, and Boucher is driven to get you there. The Boucher Automotive Group. We ride with you every mile.
Hey, WTMJ, Steve Scafidi here. Are you a member of the State of Wisconsin Pension Program? If so, you may have questions about your benefits and what they mean to your retirement plan. Join me along with Anik Wealth Management Director of Financial Planning Eric Strom and Senior Financial Planner Tom Burkholz on October 21st at 3:30 p.m. We'll discuss fundamentals, like how to look at your statement, and go deeper looking at case studies that may help relieve concerns and answer your questions about WRS. That's Tuesday, October 21st at 3:30 p.m. Register now. Visit WTMJ.com or events at AnixWealth.com.
There's no better place to catch the natural wonders of fall than Lake Geneva. Stroll a lakeshore path in a kaleidoscope of color. Explore winding rustic roads. Take a scenic boat tour or glide through a forest on a zip line. At night, stargaze from a historic observatory, cozy up to a campfire, or have a cocktail on the patio. Enjoy the seasonal bounty at orchards, wineries, and farms with flavors to savor. Plan your fall getaway now at visitlakegeneva.com. Lake Geneva, it's always been the place for fall fun.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Does our Inspired Closets team make dreams come true?
Every day, Dan. From consultation to design to installation, the whole process is built around our clients.
Which is how we earn our 5-star reviews. It's our team that makes the difference.
Inspired Closets is more than just organization. It's an investment in you.
Get started today at inspiredclosets.com.
Inspired Closets Milwaukee, a wife and husband team.
Neck and back surgeries can be risky. Your spine deserves the best. That's why professional athletes choose Neurospine Center of Wisconsin. We can help you too. With the top nationally rated spine surgeons in the state for quality outcomes, you can trust the professionals at Neurospine Center of Wisconsin. Get a second opinion in just a few clicks. Now offered virtually throughout Wisconsin. Visit nscwi.com. Whether you want to get back into the game or just get back to life, go where the pros go. Neurospine Center of Wisconsin. Your spine health is our passion.
When severe weather hits and the power goes out, do you have a plan? For reliable power and peace of mind, propane can do that. It only takes about 10 seconds for a propane-powered generator to restore power to your home. So no matter what Mother Nature has in store, you know you're prepared. Learn more at WIPGA.org. This message is sponsored by your local propane provider and the Wisconsin Propane Education and Research Council.
Shop smarter with Higher Love Cannabis Company in Menominee, Michigan, just a few seconds across the Wisconsin border. Award-winning, organically grown, quality products you can trust. Don't settle for knockoffs in Wisconsin. Get the real deal at findhigherlove.com/CBD.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I'm Kristin Brey. We're talking to Dr. Matthew Bodie, who is the author of a book that came out on September 30th called The 7 Mountains Mandate, Exposing the Dangerous Plan to Christianize America and Destroy Democracy. Now, I hear that title, and I think a lot of people maybe bristle because they're like, well, it's already predominantly Christian in this country. So what is this book actually about?
Well, the 7 Mountains Mandate is a plan of Christian nationalism. And the basic definition of that is to turn America into a Christian nation. And they believe that we have fallen away from that. So I don't know if you think the majority of the people in the nation are Christian. They would not say that. It's a minority movement on purpose. And they want to specifically take back from demonic or anti-Christian forces these 7 cultural institutions, government being one of them. So you might elect people who agree with him to office. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson is a 7 Mountains Mandate person.
Oh.
But So the other ones are definitely a culture war scenario. How do you win those other mountains? By promoting traditional definitions of the family and men and women for the mountain of family, promoting not just private schools and vouchers for the mountain of education, but going back into the public schools and trying to make them more patriotic and have a civic education that matches the Trump 1776 Commission, which Charlie Kirk was on. There are other ways in which you try to take the fight to modern media or mass media or the mainstream media and to lower their audience share, and then you have Turning Point with their own media arm. Turning Point is, as I say in the book, right, the indispensable organization for the 7 Mountains because they have an arm that matches each of these 7. So if you think Turning Point is a mere college student organization or a mere political organization, you're missing the vast organization that it is. The many millions of dollars that they have are not just going to win candidates and do campus events like Charlie was shot at. It's a culture war, and they're aiming to win it by taking over these areas. So a Christian nationalist, and they don't use that term for themselves. I was
going to ask that.
Yeah. No. Charlie calls himself a Christian and calls himself a nationalist. So I saw he is a Christian nationalist.
Okay.
It's an academic term that's been invented over the years, and there's several different elements to that. A, do you believe that America was started as a Christian nation? 2, do you believe it could be a Christian nation in the future? And C, do you think it's a Christian nation right now? And they would say no, because since the 60s, they've lost the culture. They've lost their cultural power. And so they want that power back to institute what might be called a Christian consensus culture. And it kind of gets vague at that point about what that means. It definitely means evangelical Christianity. It may mean parts of larger Protestant religions, but it probably doesn't mean Catholicism in the way that you think about it, and it certainly doesn't mean non-Christian religions. So they want Christianity to rule the culture, whether that is Mike Johnson at the head of the Speaker of the House or other people in charge of those cultural institutions, head of media, head of education, things like that. So as you can see, it has some vagueness to it, but their idea is to win the culture war by silencing and removing and telling other people their voices don't matter in our democracy because they're not Christian.
So because this feels like a fight or a movement that is, because of the popularity of Turning Point, because of the popularity of Charlie Kirk, that is much more in the forefront now than it has been. But like, where is it rooted in? Like, how long when did it really start getting momentum?
You know, evangelicals and Christians, specifically conservative Christians, have been involved in politics for several decades now. This list of 7 started in 1975 when 2 founders of 2 campus ministries, Bill Bright with Campus Crusade and a guy named Lauren Cunningham who ran, before he died, a thing called Youth with a Mission. They came up with these 7 areas because they wanted their alumni, their Christian young people, to go into society and try to influence society for Christianity. Over the years, that influence has changed into domination, or dominion as they call it, taking us back to a Christian nation. And that change came over the years because they added what might be described as sending America into a spiritual war. They see good versus evil everywhere, not just in the spiritual realm when you have Satan versus God, but you have Republicans versus Democrats. You have people who are pro-abortion and anti-abortion. They see this good versus evil everywhere. And to them, there's no compromising with evil. You have to win this war because this is what God calls you to do. And there are several Bible verses they trot out to say nations are about borders, and nations are about rules, and nations are about having a Christian culture. And specifically, it is about creating a Christian nation so that Jesus can return. It certainly has an end times theology part of it. They want to create a nation that is prepared for Jesus' return. And I say, in regard to the minority part, they're not interested in mass evangelism. So when you say America as a Christian nation, they do not mean the majority of the people in the nation identify themselves as Christian. It's a minority movement on purpose. And this, to me, what makes it anti-democratic. They may win elections and get people into office with democratic means, but once they're there, they want to rule over the majority in a Christian fashion, knowing that the majority is not Christian.
How popular is this movement?
Yeah, there's been different polls and surveys about Christian nationalism broadly. Different academics have asked different questions. Would you agree with this? Would you agree with that? And there's been some specific questions on the Seven Mountains Mandate. Generally, those polls show about 30% of Americans would go along with some ideas of Christian nationalism and would agree that the Seven Mountains Mandate is the goal of Christian nationalism. So 30% of Americans, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot, and that number's gone up over the years. I think it first kind of entered the political realm with Sarah Palin running for office, vice president in 2008. She's a Seven Mountains person. It got more noticed in 2012, but it was the spiritual energy that its followers, its advocates, its leaders were deeply involved with the insurrection in 2021. So it's grown over the years with Trump being in the White House.
Which is ironic since he's not the most Christian man you would...
No,
he
is
comes to the forefront when you think about Christianity.
Yes.
We only have a couple minutes left, but where do you think Turning Points USA is going to go now with Erica Kirk as the head of it?
I do think it's built to last, and this is because of the Seven Mountains. There's been other groups that have done education and done government. They're doing all seven at once, and they now have way more money than they know what to do with, and all these new followers, and they can funnel them into these seven areas, not just conservative campus chapters. They have high school chapters, and they have chapters in churches. They have chapters all across the nation, and they have field staff that create opportunities for people to be involved. Turning Point's built to last, and this is one reason. Now, with Erica becoming the CEO, honestly, being a widow and being a husband who was killed by gun violence, I don't know how long she can stay in that role. She's certainly qualified if she has plenty of talent, but I'm just saying, with being a widow and two young children, I don't know. She might be the closer when it comes to donors. Yeah. But where does Turning Point itself go? It's a brand now. It is the indispensable organization for MAGA, for conservatives, for the Republican Party, and it has money to spend. So as long as that money keeps coming in, they can continue to do all the things that they do. Now, will they do these campus events? I don't know after this year, right? Some of them have been more memorial events than debates that we've seen recently. But they need to find ways in which to funnel their followers and their advocates into these seven areas, and I think they'll be successful at that.
Got it. All right. Well, this is fascinating. I'm so happy that you sent me that email originally, and now I know to go get the book.
Read the whole book then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book is The Seven Mountains Mandate, Exposing the Dangerous Plan to Christianize America and Destroy Democracy. He is Dr. Matthew Bodie. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. All right. We'll be back and finish the first hour after this.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems will subside. And we have the most simple and convenient, ultra-effective in-office solutions that can do just that. And this is why people have traveled by planes, trains, and automobiles from corners of the world you would never think of to find the sleep apnea and snoring relief you won't find elsewhere.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
Does your bathroom belong in a haunted house? Or maybe it's just time for a refresh. WTMJ and Sidex are back with the Boo beautiful bathroom contest. One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. It's easy. Snap a pic of your scary shower, terrifying tub, or even just one you're tired of. And enter now at WTMJ.com. Sidex makes it easy to go from fright to fabulous.
You know, Dad, there are a lot of things that make Marty's Pizza special.
Well, you got our untouched original recipe for our pizza sauce, and we have our own sausage made for us with our own recipe. We make everything fresh. Our own meatballs, our lasagna, our dough every day. We cut our vegetables fresh every day.
It's a labor of love.
This is Dick the Dad.
And James the Son from Marty's Pizza in Delafield.
Find out what keeps our loyal customers coming back for generations.
Right off I-94 and Highway 83 in Delafield.
Remember Marty's Pizza.
Do you remember when times were good? Well, they're good again. It's as good today as it was in the past. It doesn't get any better than that.
Remember Marty's Pizza.
Right off I-94 and Highway 83 in Delafield.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Hey, it's Vince Vitrano from Wisconsin's Morning News. It's baseball season, which means Brewers 360 is back every day at 8:40. Sponsored by Outdoor Living Unlimited. Every day, all season long, we're joined exclusively by Brewers guests, including manager Pat Murphy and more. So Murphy, as we're wrapping up our interview.
Great talking to you. Really enjoyed it, okay?
I was like, you did? Is he just in a good mood, or what'd y'all do to Murph?
Brewers 360 is sponsored by Outdoor Living Unlimited and Big Fish Contracting. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
All right, a big thanks to Dr. Matthew Bodie. I thought that was fascinating. I am going to read that book. But a funny thing, as soon as we went to commercial, I checked my Instagram, and I follow Turning Point USA on Instagram, and they have announced the All-American Halftime Show, celebrating faith, family, and freedom. So that will air. They're going to air that, so people have an option to not watch Bad Bunny and his halftime show during the Super Bowl. But I would like to remind you that Bad Bunny is both an American citizen, because he's Puerto Rican, and is also a Catholic. So he is also Christian. So there's that. I don't know which part of his identity that you are boycotting if you don't think he is since he is an American and a Christian. But we will leave that there. All right, when we come back, Jeremy Janine and all things Milwaukee. But first, the news.
Welcome to The Knowledge Brokers, a weekly feature covering the dynamics of the insurance market, how it affects Wisconsin businesses and residents. It's sponsored by the original Knowledge Broker, R&R Insurance. Joining me today is Jeff Salazinski, Executive Vice President of Insurance Operations. Jeff, let's talk business insurance today. What should business owners be doing right now to deal with this complex market that we're in?
A very timely question, Vince. Many businesses have their commercial insurance renewal dates in the fourth quarter or on January 1st, and many are also beginning to evaluate the performance of their employee benefits program as well. It's an important time to have a strategy going into your renewal discussion if you want to maximize coverage and control the cost.
Why so important to start working on this right now?
Insurance companies continue to be very selective over who they're choosing to insure, number one. Number two, insurance companies want and use more information and data today than ever before. You will not get the best price and terms without a solid, well-planned strategy. It's important for every business to understand their strengths and weaknesses.
So what I'm hearing you say, though, Jeff, is each business owner needs a strategy when they are renewing their insurance coverage.
Yes, Vince, a well-planned strategy. The way insurers use data today and evaluate claims experience, it's imperative to work with an insurance professional that understands all of the dynamics.
What else can R&R Insurance provide that kind of sets you apart?
R&R Insurance will provide a better insurance buying experience. We'll use data, strategy, and our expert resources to help you control costs and maximize the value of both your commercial insurance and your employee benefits program. We blend our elite analytics resources with technology to create innovative and cost-effective insurance solutions. As a business insurance top 100 firm, you get local expertise and local ownership working for you.
Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
With Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, you can easily find the right home insurance for you, even if it's not with Progressive. But if you don't choose us, then sure, okay, it's not going to work out. We're not going to cry about it or stay awake wondering what our future together would have looked like. We can't get emotionally invested, even if it sounds like we are. Progressive's Home Quote Explorer allows you to easily compare home insurance rates and coverages in one place, even if it's not with us. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. I love you. I shouldn't have said that.
This sandwich, it's a complete game changer. Hello, this is Mike, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Pretzel Cheddar Club is that juicy chicken with that toasty pretzel bun. That bun, it's crispy, cozy, just amazing. With the pretzel bun, the Dijon mustard, and the chicken, it makes that sweet, savory kind of combination. It's everything that you love about food rolled into one. It looks phenomenal. It tastes great. It's delicious.
Order the Pretzel Cheddar Club with cherry berry and Sprite for a limited time on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
Fly ball, left field. Hap on the warning track. Hap at the wall.
It's the Brewers and Cubs in Game 4 of the NLDS in Chicago.
It is gone. Jake Bauers having himself a night here at Wrigley.
Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 7:30. October runs through the home of the Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
It is 11:01 and 51 degrees. I'm Julia Fellow. A lovely fall day on tap, sunny and pleasant, a high of 61. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, there are reports of a deadly shooting that just took place at 49th and Mill Road. We are looking into more information. As soon as it comes into our newsroom, we will give you information. Our other top story, the Cubs are flying the W down in Chicago. We don't want that. After a 4-3 win over the Brewers in Game 3 of the NLDS, they scored all 4 runs in their first inning against an Illinois native.
Starting in his home state against the team he grew up admiring, Brewers starter Quinn Priester was charged with 4 runs in just 2/3 of an inning before exiting the game.
You know, everyone else played real well with the exception of myself, so I definitely feel like that's entirely on me.
5 Brewers relievers combined to keep the Cubs off the scoreboard the final 7 innings, and while the Brewers chipped away, they left the bases loaded in the 8th following a leadoff double from Jackson Churio. Pat Murphy's lineup just 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Greg Matzik, WTMJ News.
Game 4 tonight at Wrigley. First pitch at 8:08. Our coverage starts at 7 p.m. right here with Brewers warm-up. We are home to the Brewers. A breakthrough in the Middle East. Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first step of a peace deal after more than 2 years of war. This is expected to lead to the release of all hostages and hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. CBS Aaron Navarro.
We're hearing from several administration sources that one turning point that led to this deal were the Israeli strikes on Doha. That was something that President Trump disagreed with and at one point put pressure on Netanyahu, and during an in-person meeting at the White House had him talk to the leaders of Qatar and apologize for those strikes. Administration sources say that that moment created, quote, positive opportunity and led to maximum pressure from President Trump on both sides to get this deal done.
The Israeli government will convene to approve the deal. Ahead of a critical court hearing today about whether to block federalized National Guard troops from operating in Illinois, federal officials are clarifying what the troops would be doing on the ground. ABC's Chuck Sievertson.
500 guardsmen will be deployed to Cook County from Texas and Illinois to protect the ICE facility in Broadview and the district courthouse in Chicago, says a sworn declaration in court filings by a U.S. Army commander. Officials with ICE and Border Patrol submitted court documents arguing that Chicago has seen unprecedented violence and blatant disregard for law and order. Local and state officials have said that is not the case.
A federal judge just handed down a sentence for a Wisconsin man accused of smuggling lab equipment into Russian companies.
68-year-old Andrew Pagosian, a Russian-born U.S. citizen who lives in Madison, will spend a year in federal prison. Back in June, federal prosecutors charged Pagosian with 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the U.S. and 3 counts of smuggling. Prosecutors say 3 years ago, Pagosian started using his company to ship lab equipment to Russian companies, including one that performed chemical research for the Russian military. Officials say that was a violation of trade sanctions. Neil Doyle, WTMJ News.
A 29-year-old now charged in connection to starting that massive fire in the Pacific Palisades. A federal official says the man started a small fire on New Year's Day that smoldered underground before reigniting nearly a week later, roaring through neighborhoods. We talked with Burlington native and Pacific Palisades resident Caitlin Morrell on Wisconsin's Midday News.
What was taken away from all of us was this very paradise-like small-town Midwest feeling that we all know and love so much, something that you don't always get in today's society. So I think that's the hardest thing is that, people that have done really great things in the world and for other people had so much taken away from them.
Morrell says she's still trying to get her home remediated from smoke damage. Time for news about your money and your WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything slightly in the red. The Dow is down 130 at 46,470. S&P 500 down 14. NASDAQ down 39. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:05.
Change your grocery game plan to locally owned Century Foods, home of the best meat, freshest produce, and tastiest treats. Now through Wednesday, save on 10.23 to 11.5 ounce selected varieties Mars Fun Size Candy, $4.49. 8.1 to 11.5 ounce selected varieties Bear Creek Soup Mix, $3.49. 128 ounce pale selected varieties Blue Ribbon Frozen Dairy Dessert, $5.99. 64 ounce selected varieties Sunny D Citrus Drinks, 2 for $3.
I am starving.
Oh, no, never walk into a Century when you're hungry.
Unless it's free sample day. Ooh, wow, pizza, yes. I'd love to try that one.
My husband thinks he can make a meal out of grocery store samples.
Need to wash this down. I think I see someone handing out samples in the liquor department.
Geez, can we focus on our list?
What's this?
It says you can win 2 tickets to Green Bay's home game against Chicago on December 7th.
Or autographed footballs, or a 4-pack of Green Bay Hall of Fame tickets.
You have to enter through Century's Facebook or Instagram.
I'll be entering this on my phone in the deli next to that cheese sample station.
Enter by November 12th.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guest, Sighting Unlimited. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. At 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
After a serious accident, you'll need a winning team to protect your rights. Trust Wisconsin's own Ruger's offices. Proud partner of your Milwaukee Brewers. One call, that's all.
Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Tune in this Sunday to hear my full interview with new physician Dr. Damrow. To learn more or to make an appointment, visit orthowisconsin.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Brewers yet to name a starter. Game for the NLDS tonight. First pitch, 8:08 in Chicago. Airs right here on WTMJ. Through 3 games, the teams have combined to score 18 runs in the first inning.
Both teams come out firing. That's what it's about. And they know us. We know them. There's a lot of emotion in the game, and it says something for both teams, really.
Coverage begins following the 7 o'clock news right here on WTMJ. Preseason continues for the Bucks tonight. They take on the Pistons here at home. Despite the bye week, the Packers still listed 14 players on the first injury report. That includes 11 who were limited or didn't practice on Wednesday. Let's stick with your roads with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving at time saver traffic. Everything looking good. The only thing that I see is that 49th and Mill Road, please be aware there is a huge police presence. There was a deadly shooting that just took place there. And also, we see on Drexel Avenue, I-41 94 North, a disabled vehicle from the ramp from Drexel Avenue at this time, and it's causing slowdowns. Everything else looks good. Here is your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny and pleasant today. Our high temperature 61. Partly cloudy tonight. We'll dip down to 50 for your low. Tomorrow, slight chance of rain in the morning. Partly cloudy otherwise. A high of 66. Saturday, mostly sunny. A high of 63. Sunday, mostly sunny, a chance for rain Sunday night, high of 64. Monday, slight chance for rain, the high is 68. Right now in Madison, it's 60 degrees. In Green Bay, it's 59. And Milwaukee, it's 60 degrees and sunny. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:09.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scafidi and Kristin Brey.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the 11 o'clock hour of the Thursday show of Point Taken. We are here on Thursday. I got to move this screen so I can see you directly. Jeremy Jean of Urban Milwaukee is here. Lots to talk about, as always. But I like this headline. Meeting over police pursuits results in tears, barbs, and a walkout. Sounds dramatic.
Dramatic is definitely a way to explain what happened.
All right, so what happened?
The Public Safety and Health Committee at the city, which the Common Council's committee, it informally oversees the police department. It doesn't have the explicit authority like the Fire and Police Commission law has to issue directives. But if the police need money, they need to come to Public Safety and Health. The Health Department, obviously, even things like changing parking spots go to this committee. So there was a discussion about police pursuits, and it was really supposed to be a precursor discussion.
Like when they're chasing people, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. High-speed pursuits, chasing. And there were some stats given, and we can talk about those a little bit. But what really happened was some interesting dynamics at City Hall between the committee chair, Alderman Scott Spiker, several other committee members who had some pretty pointed questions for the police department, and then Police Chief of Staff Heather Huff, who has been with the city for a long time. She was an assistant city attorney before being promoted to Chief of Staff. And she said, while fighting back tears, Alderman Spiker, you're really rude sometimes, and I have to take a break. That was about a half hour into the debate. And she got up.
Had he said something really rude? Were you there watching all this?
I've watched it. I've watched the replay. And Spiker's response was, yeah, I am. And it came to a head because Alderman Larissa Taylor, who represents the Northwest side, was asking for, like, I want the police department to prepare this data. And Spiker was like, well, you don't just ask them. Let's make a resolution. And then I don't have the exact verbiage in front of me, but excruciate them if they don't deliver the data. That he really wanted to make a public shaming of them if they didn't give the council what they wanted. And Spiker had also ratcheted up the tension several other times. Leon Todd, who leads the Fire and Police Commission, was there. He read a printout to the committee, and then Spiker goes, thank you for the read along. We can all read, and then just immediately moved on. So tensions were high.
Why was he so angry? Like, what is his angle for this?
He has a somewhat unusual wry sense of humor. So that makes him a little bit difficult to engage with. He's also married to a philosophy professor and is a bit of a philosopher himself. So he speaks kind of at length and kind of stream of conscious thoughts.
Okay.
And then he just seemed to be in a mood. And hours before this happened in the meeting, I had turned to a coworker and I go, oh, Spiker's in a mood today. And sure enough, it really escalated at this police pursuit that he was just really sharp to people that he wanted information from.
Did they get information? Was there any resolution or way forward? Because the big debate right now is this: we go back and forth. Like, should police do high-speed pursuits? Because we know that they're dangerous, but also you're just going to let people get away with it? And so is that what the crux of this was, of like what is going to be the directive of what police should be doing in this situation?
Yes, you've hit the nail on the head of the question the council is facing.
Yes.
And so they had added this to the agenda really late. So Assistant Chief Craig Sarnow of the police department, he's like, I'm going to have more data on the 16th when I present to the Fire and Police Commission. I have some data now, and I can give it to you as I parse apart my article. And you can read this on Urban Milwaukee. It's ran on October 2nd. But 49% of police pursuits resulted in arrest. There were 957 pursuits in 2024, and 242 of them, so about a quarter of them, resulted in injuries either to a law enforcement member, a member of the public, or someone in a fleeing vehicle. And I don't have the exact number in front of me right now, but the reason this has really come to a head
is that number of those who get arrested, or like what is the full pie? So like of the total, there's 200 and some that get hurt.
Of the 1,000 pursuits in 2024, about 250 of them, so about a quarter of them, resulted in injury to someone at some point.
And then about half resulted in arrest.
Yes.
And about half got away.
Yeah. Well, got away in one way or another. The police might have voluntarily, and the numbers are in the article on how many pursuits they just stopped, that if you get going so fast that they're like, no, this isn't safe. We want to avoid an injury, and then they canceled the pursuit.
Okay.
One of the things that stood out to me was pre-2020, about 5% of traffic stops, which already seems very high, resulted in a high-speed chase, a chase of some form, a drive away. I actually need to clarify that data. About 5% of traffic stops resulted in a drive away. Many of those probably became chases, but not all of them. That number has doubled to 10% of traffic stops result in an individual before the police officers concluded the person being pulled over, they're driving away. And obviously a lot of those are probably leading to chases, but some you might take off so fast the police are like, we can't safely pursue, and they're just declining to even pursue the person. So
do we have any idea why it's doubled?
I think we can all look at the roadways and see that driving behavior is worse than it was pre-pandemic. But if the word gets out that, hey, I'm able to blow away from this police chief, we know only 49% of them are arrests. I think that word gets around, and this goes back to Chief Flynn 15 years ago, his decision to want to stop pursuits, and then the city ordering him, no, you got to start again. So now that question is up for debate. October 16th, big meeting.
Got it. All right. He is Jeremy Janine of Urban Milwaukee. You can read this at urbanmilwaukee.com. We'll be back with more after this.
The Wisconsin retirement system impacts over 690,000 people, including police, firefighters, teachers, and UW employees. Join Annex Wealth Management and WTMJ's Steve Scafidi for a free webinar. Understand your WRS potential on Tuesday, October 21st at 3:30 p.m. Learn how your WRS pension fits into your financial portfolio and planning. The Annex Financial Planning team is experienced with WRS pensions and holistic financial planning. Register at annexwealth.com/events. Know the difference with a fee-only fiduciary. That's Annex Wealth Management.
We see you out there doing things your way. So why shop the same retail giants as everyone else when you can find the same trusted products at unbeatable farm and fleet prices? Like a 26-piece Performance Tool color-coded screwdriver set, half price, now $24.99. 2.5-gallon boxes of Clean Def, just $7.99. And 8 packs of Energizer AA or AAA batteries, your choice, $8.99. Find value on the things you value right here at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Being original.
For over a century, local radio has evolved with the needs of the community. From politics to pop culture, we keep you informed, bringing you the most relevant news, online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text radio to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure. Join me every Saturday for Experience Wisconsin. We check in with communities across the state for the best and brightest spots around Wisconsin. Fall's a beautiful time. Plan your trip now and let us help you. It's a fun show, and I love it. The guest this week, the Wisconsin Historical Society. I think we're going to actually talk about Old World Wisconsin with Dan Hess, and we'll travel to Elkhorn. Kate Abbey in Elkhorn. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's Experience Wisconsin every Saturdays right here on 620 WTMJ.
Oh, that music means Jeremy Janine is here. Urban Milwaukee. Check out all of his and his staff's. Are they your staff or are they your teammates?
We call them teammates. I work with them. They don't work for me or anything like that.
Okay, good. I like that. Equal footing. All right, so obviously ICE is in the news a lot right now to our city to the south of us in Chicago, and all of the protests that are happening, the arrests that are happening, the raids that are happening down there. I feel like in Milwaukee I've heard less. It's made less national news of what the presence of ICE has been in Milwaukee proper, but that doesn't mean that they're not here, and it doesn't mean that there's not offices that they're seeking. So they're seeking a new downtown Milwaukee office to go with a new field facility.
Yeah, so the field facility we've discussed, and this is something that goes back to 2023, so Biden era, pre-Trump. ICE currently with a couple other Homeland Security agencies, or was co-located on basically the north end of downtown by the MSOE campus. For 2 years now, they've been trying to move out of there, and they've now applied for their occupancy permit. They're moving to the Park Place Business Park into a old suburban office building very far northwest side of the city, about 119th and Bradley Road if you generally want an intersection. That facility is ready to open. They applied for an occupancy permit. We've reported, and I'll tease in another Urban Milwaukee article, that there's a second federal agency going in there that seems completely unrelated to ICE. but that they're co-locating next to ICE. That ICE has told the media that's not a detention facility, and it really just looks like a relocating what's long been in downtown Milwaukee out there. The big change, though, is there's a application out there, an RFP, request for proposals, to open nearly identical ICE offices in 19 cities, 70 desks in each, up to 20,000 square feet. And it certainly looks like they're looking for downtown office space for attorneys. That would be a big departure from what's happened longstanding in Milwaukee.
Just because it's such an increase?
Well, I don't know that ICE has any attorneys in Milwaukee right now, or that they're just general federal attorneys, maybe one or two. This is 70 desks is a lot of people, and they're putting them in many cities, red cities, blue cities, all across the country.
Okay. So when you say 19 cities, is it 19 cities in Wisconsin or across the country?
Across the country.
Okay.
The list is like Des Moines, Columbus, Columbia, South Carolina, Boise, Grand Rapids, Jacksonville, Oklahoma City, Pittsburgh, Spokane, Washington. So they're big, small, Tampa, Richmond.
Got it.
It's not an obvious like blue cities targeting list.
Okay. And so in your reporting this year on how would you measure how much of an ICE presence we've seen in Milwaukee so far this year?
I think it's pretty, I don't want to say standard because it's unclear exactly what is standard, but it hasn't ramped up like the fear or excitement, depending on which way you look at it. That just doesn't seem to have come to pass locally. Now
But like compared to like a Chicago, California,
very different ball game, very political ball game being played there. What was interesting to me, that Chicago, they had the big raid on the South Side apartment building. It was actually owned by a company based in Neenah, Wisconsin. That really hasn't been.
read that. Isn't there like a weird thing? I haven't figured out the details, but isn't there a weird thing with like the landlord and payments and stuff as far as like looking into why that building was raided?
I haven't gotten fully into that, other than it looks like the landlord's just kind of walking away from the property.
Got it.
And somehow the building got a reputation, and that maybe inspired the targeting.
Okay.
So in Milwaukee, not a lot of activity and emphasis on yet, because there's certainly an expectation that could come. And I think opening a 20,000 square foot field office is a good indicator that the Trump administration has much bigger plans.
Got it. Well, they have a lot of money to execute those plans with. So, all right, let's take another break. He's Jeremy Jean. I am Kristin Brey, and this is Point Taken.
When we're out in your town, come say hi as we broadcast live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio.
Anytime you hear us when we're on the road, you can find us live from our brand new mobile studio.
Whether it be Summerfest, EAA, Opening Day, Air and Water Show, wherever we may be.
You can see us on the radio, live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
News Radio 620 WTMJ.
All right, do you want a new bathroom? Well, WTMJ and Sidex are back with the Beautiful Bathroom Contest. One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. And it's easy. Just snap a picture of your scary shower, your terrifying tub, or just one that you are tired of. And enter now. Text BOO, B-O-O, to the WTMJ talk and text line 855-616-1620, or visit WTMJ.com to submit your picture and for full contest rules.
Hey, this is Steve Scafidi for Advent. I had some snoring issues that kept my wife up at night. That led to poor sleep and a lot of tired mornings on the radio, and nobody wants that, trust me. But it's simply, my nose wasn't working the way it should. I decided to go to Advent for a quick 30-minute visit, one of their great facilities, talk to a bunch of their doctors. They really put me at ease. After a really simple sleep study at home, in my own bed, they determined the root cause of my problem had to do with my sinuses and nasal passages in my breathing triangle. I didn't even know I had a breathing triangle, so I went to see Advent. After a short procedure done in office, I'm back to breathing well, and my wife and I are both back to sleeping through the whole night. The best sleep we've ever had, that could be you. If you struggle with restless nights like I did, take the time to see how Advent can help. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your life and your nights a whole lot better, go to AdventKnows.com, schedule an appointment today. Because Advent knows, when you breathe well, you live better.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments, Behind the Bucks is Bucks history, like you've never heard it before. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
No matter how many people are in your family, buying new jackets for the cold weather months can be expensive. But when you shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, prices on cold weather jackets will give you a sigh of relief because thrift store prices mean great deals. And right now we have a great selection. Find great deals on cold weather jackets for the family at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
For your fellow fanatics and your number one fans. For your game day compatriots and your everyday companions. For your personal cheerleaders and your personal heroes. For the reasons you smile, get covered with dental and vision insurance from Delta Dental of Wisconsin and Delta Vision. Learn more at deltadentalwi.com today.
We are talking with Jeremy Janine, all things Milwaukee, including the budget.
The budget, which is what I was talking to my wife, and then I was counting how many hours of budget deliberations I watched yesterday, and I got to 8 or 9 hours. Now, I'm a sicko, and I watched it at 3x speed and was taking notes, so it was trunked
Can you
out.
take notes at 3x speed?
Yeah, I have to get deep into the weeds of reporting, I have a foot pedal at my office, so if I need to go back, I just immediately slap my foot down and it goes back 15 seconds.
Really?
And it works out very well.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a reporter inside tip there.
I've never heard of that, a foot pedal. A foot pedal that's connected to your computer?
Yeah, basically it's a mouse that works by my feet. It would be like if I laid my mouse on the ground and could just step on it and I can go forward, backwards, and pause.
They have something for everything, don't they?
They do. Wonderful world of Amazon. $15 investment saves me countless hours.
All right. So, budget talks.
Yes.
Where are we?
We'll talk a little bit more after the break about the wheel tax because that's more complicated. But I always like when the Wisconsin Policy Forum is a third-party independent think tank analyzes the city budget because there's the spin I get from the mayor's office, the spin I get from the council, and then my read on it. And it's always nice to have that essentially the fourth party then reviewing it. And
Nonpartisan, very analytical. All the quants over at Wisconsin Policy Forum.
And they do it every year, so there's consistency there. And this year, one of the things they did was they looked back at their 2022 report and said at that point, we had identified a, quote, untenable budget cut problem was looming, which was if you don't get this new revenue source, which became the sales tax and shared revenue, that you were going to need to make a lot of layoffs. Police, fire, libraries, Department of City Development, Health Department. And the city analysis at that time said 1,300 layoffs might be necessary. Now, the analysis from this year says, great job, Mayor, getting that funding. Great job, Council, spending prudently that funding that you got. But we've talked about this when the budget was introduced in late September. There's still problems that the city has. The squeeze is still there where your costs are going up. I'll just throw out some numbers, 3% every year, and your revenue can only go up 2% every year. So every single year you're going to need to make cuts. And they say there's a window of opportunity right now that the city needs to buckle down and really implement the shared services report that the Policy Forum also prepared 2 years ago to look at hey, collaborate with Milwaukee County on your printing needs and all kinds of back of house stuff. But also to look at the Greater Milwaukee Committee's report on do you need these buildings? And the city is doing some of that with moving. They're already looking to move electrical services out of the Menominee Valley. That'll be a site that could sell to someone else. The city will get a new building. They will get out from under deferred maintenance. But there's some great analysis there in the Policy Forum that's really short to read, which is good.
Okay.
The 5 key takeaways, and we've kind of talked through all of them now. New revenue coming in is good. Pension costs still growing bad. And then there's some discussion on reserve funds. So if you're a really wonkish person and want to know about what does it mean to draw down the tax stabilization fund, Policy Forum does a good job breaking that down.
So with the how much is the budget? And we only have a minute, but when we look at the budget and what it is, how much is we're spending 3% versus only having 2% new revenue is just because everything's getting more expensive.
That's exactly it.
So it's not that we budgeted poorly. It's just costs are going up.
Yeah, in the way that the state essentially straitjacket for cities, which was done at the request essentially of taxpayers 20 years ago, was you just can't raise property taxes however you want. You have to keep them locked into these certain rates. Your fees, you can only have fees that recover the cost of providing the service. So there's inherent pressure in the way the state of Wisconsin has set up the system.
Got it. Okay. What do we want? And so set up the wheel tax. Got about 30 seconds before we go to the news.
So the mayor proposed one of those fees. He can increase the wheel tax. There's basically no limit in the state as long as you spend that money on roads. And the city is well under that cap.
And we definitely have road work to do.
Yes, it could continue to spend. The council is balking at how the mayor wants to implement that wheel tax, though, and what public input gets provided.
Okay, so we will talk more about that after the bottom of the hour news. Jeremy Janine will be here for the rest of the half hour on our Thursday edition of Point Taken. If you're wondering where Steve is, he's still in Sicily for another week, but that's okay. He'll come back, I think. News is next.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. The push to end the war in Gaza after 2 years is one step closer, with Israel and Hamas agreeing to phase 1 of the U.S. peace plan. President Trump at the White House during a cabinet meeting thanking all nations involved in negotiations. He says within days there could be immediate ceasefire and the release of all remaining hostages.
We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday. Getting them is a complicated process. I'd rather not tell you what they have to do to get them.
Israel's prime minister meeting with his security cabinet today to get the deal ratified. It then goes on to a full vote. In Tel Aviv's Hostage Square, families gathering with relief and caution. ABC's Ian Pannell is there.
We've seen celebrations here, singing, dancing, the Israeli flag, the American flag, signs saying, "We love you, Trump." In the words of one mother of a hostage, saying, "I can be a mother who hugs her son again."
Cheers in Gaza, too. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:31. I'm Julia Fellow. Breaking news just into our newsroom. One person was killed and an off-duty officer is badly hurt, we're told, after a shooting on Milwaukee's north side. Happened this morning near 49th Mill Road. Still an active scene there. Police sources tell WTMJ that the off-duty officer was driving into work this morning when a suspect cut him off and pulled out in front of him. The suspect then got out of his car and pistol whipped the officer in the head and face. The officer drew his weapon, which is when the suspect starts shooting at him. The officer shot the suspect back, killing him. The officer is currently being treated at the hospital and is injured. We are staying on top of this developing story throughout our news. In other news, one more win for the Crew to go to the NLCS. In last night's game, the Cubs scored all 4 of their runs in the first inning against an Illinois native. Here's Greg Matzek.
Starting in his home state against the team he grew up admiring, Brewers starter Quinn Priester was charged with 4 runs in just 2/3 of an inning before exiting the game.
You know, everyone else played real well with the exception of myself, so definitely feel like that's entirely on me.
5 Brewers relievers combined to keep the Cubs off the scoreboard the final 7 innings, and while the Brewers chipped away, they left the bases loaded in the 8th following a leadoff double from Jackson Churio. Pat Murphy's lineup just 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Greg Matzek, WTMJ News.
Game 4 tonight at Wrigley Field. First pitch at 8:08. Our coverage starts at 7 o'clock with Brewers warm-up right here on WTMJ. Time for news about your money and your WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything slightly in the red. The Dow is down 179 at 46,422. S&P 500 down 20. NASDAQ is down 57. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Let's take the road to the WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Again, there's that deadly shooting at 49th and Mill Road. Please be aware there's heavy traffic there. A lot of roads are closed down. There's huge crowds of people also looking. 41, 43, 894 East, about a half mile beyond the ramp from 76th Street. The right shoulder's blocked because there is a disabled vehicle causing some slowdowns. There's also construction there. And also, we have one more thing, a disabled vehicle on the ramp from Drexel Avenue on I-4194 North, causing some slowdowns there. Your WTMJ 5-day forecast at this time. I'm going to make sure I refresh here so I give you a good one. Tonight is going to be partly cloudy, a low of 50. Tomorrow, a slight chance of morning showers, partly cloudy, a high of 66. Saturday, mostly sunny, a high of 63. Sunday, sunny, a chance of evening rain, a high of 64. Monday, a slight chance of showers, partly sunny. Your high will be 68 degrees. Right now in Green Bay, it's 59 degrees, Madison 60 degrees, and Milwaukee sunny and 60 degrees. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:04.
Some things are fine to buy from a vending machine, but despite what a certain national online company tells you, a car is not one of them.
Let's see. Cheese doodles, Mr. Nougat bar. Oh, here we go. Green 4-door hatchback. We're gonna need some more quarters.
Sure, they make it seem convenient, but it won't be so convenient if you have a problem with the vehicle you buy. And if it's after 7 days, good luck. Adam member dealers also let you search online, and unlike those national companies, you get to see the vehicle in person and test drive it before you buy it. You also have the assurance that the vehicle's been thoroughly tested, and if any issue does come up, your local Adam member dealer is right here to service it and can also provide low financing and top dollar for your trade. Think about that before you take the chance with their so-called vending machine.
What? It's stuck. No! Oh, rats.
Start your search at adamm.com.
Your neighbors are talking. Did you see their siding? Yikes. That drafty window? It's basically air conditioning. From nature. Don't be the scary house on the block this fall. Call Exterior Pros and Baths and get $3,000 off your roofing, siding, windows, or bath project. No tricks, just treats. That's 262-800-4274 or click your way to extpros.com. Fall in love with your home again. Trust the pros.
Well, we decided to develop our own mattress line just, I think, purely from a quality standpoint again.
We wanted to go the opposite way the industry was going. The industry was cheapening things, and we didn't believe in that.
Ben and Arvid from Penny Mustard Furnishings.
The entire mattress industry has gone to one-sided. We still believe that a two-sided is going to last you longer. You can get more comfort out of it.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, I want them to look back and say, wow, I bought that a long time ago, and I'm still really happy with it. That's true in our mattresses. It's true in our furniture.
PennyMustard.com.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey, talking to Jeremy Janine, and before the break, we teased wheel tax. Sexy. So right now in Milwaukee, it's $30?
For the $30 for the city, $30 for the county. If you have a hybrid, it's something like $175 from the state. It goes down to maybe $95 if you have a conventional gasoline vehicle or diesel vehicle, hybrid or EV. So it's expensive to have a car. The state imposes basically no limits on wheel taxes for communities. So Milwaukee you might think is the highest, but no, it's Evansville, Janesville, Madison has one. So it's, and I say Evansville and Janesville and Madison because that's a small city, a medium city, and a big city. They don't correlate with city size.
What are theirs?
They're $40 each. So that's the city of Milwaukee is proposing. Mayor Cavalier Johnson is proposing to move to $40, and that would generate, you'd think, a big amount of money, but only about $3 million a year. So not a ton of money from that $10 increase, which if you're doing math in your head right now means the city gets about $9 million from its wheel tax currently. Milwaukee County gets more because it's obviously bigger. It has 17 other communities. So for the city of Milwaukee, Mayor Cavalier Johnson and Budget Director Nick Kovac ran into a bit of a snag, which, we'll increase the wheel tax. And then they have to go to the comptroller, an independently elected person, and he says, yes, I agree, this will generate this much revenue, so you can use it in your budget, budgeted at that amount. And he said, well, I think you'll have a delay implementing it, and there's this 90-day restriction in state law. Well, if you take 90 days from now, it gets into 2026 already. So while you're debating the 2026 budget right now at City Hall, you're already shortchanging yourself January, and the mayor is asking the common council, hey, act really quick, approve this part of my budget before you approve the rest, because then we can at least get February, and that's $250,000. And the rub right now for Marina Dmitrievich, who leads the finance committee, Scott Spiker's on the finance committee, Peter Bergelis, so council members of all different political stripes, is no, Mayor, we don't want to rush to approve this because we've barely had public hearings on the budget.
Yeah.
We have this big hearing on the 18th, but in doing so, if they delay it, which they took the action yesterday to start that delay process, it will blow a $250,000 hole in the budget. The finger pointing has emerged, with Scott Spiker being very clear that this is the mayor's fault. This is the mayor's budget hole that he's already asking us
Moody Scott Spiker
to fill. And he's not alone on that. Marina Dmitrievich has been clear about that. Malayli Cogs has asked questions about the timing of that. Council members seem very uncomfortable. And one of the interesting things is Marina's like, well, maybe we want to do more than $10. Maybe we want more money and to do something else with it, road spending wise. Peter Bergelis has been very adamant that he wants to see more spending on local roads. That's about $16 million proposed in the budget. So if you increase it another $5 million, maybe you can go up to $17.5 million. That might mean that one extra mile of city streets gets fully rebuilt every year. So that might make a difference to someone. Unfortunately, the city's backlog of, and I said $1.5 million there, the city's backlog is something like $740 million. And I think that's just for local streets to get repaired. And those are streets that are in poor condition. So it's a fighting match over $250,000 right now, but the problem is really a $700 million problem.
And then are roads different, come from, like, to fix sidewalks? Is that a completely different fund?
No, that often gets bundled together with local streets. But the big thing is we look at like a Prospect Avenue where you see that Highway 32 sign next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that means there's state and federal dollars they're going to come with to rebuild it. When I look at Lenox Street that I live on, like that's entirely on the back of the city. There's your gas tax does not pay to rebuild your local road in any appreciable amount.
Yeah.
So that's entirely your property tax dollars.
Because I do wonder, why do they keep planting trees that are going to like break the sidewalk?
Well, that their hope is not to be, the Forestry Service to not be breaking the sidewalk.
What do you mean? Because like I live in a neighborhood where the sidewalks, it's like roots that have grown underneath, and then eventually they take the tree out and stuff. But it just seems like, should we plant a different tree when we take that one out?
So I will quickly.
Do you have information on this?
Admit I'm not a forester, but like the goal is to have a diversity of trees so that if you have an emerald ash borer, you don't have to cut down all your trees.
That's fair. Okay.
So you want a diversity in your canopy. Canopy produces many good benefits: shade, reduces your heating costs, cooling costs. The other thing is they're trying to find trees that are hardy enough to take road salt and then don't have big roots. So I believe the locust tree is one of the favored trees at the moment. And it unfortunately produces, as anyone that lives by one right now knows, lots of leaves early in the cycle. So they're dumping all over. So trees are...
trees are hard.
Yes.
City trees are hard, but we want them, but they're hard. All right. When we come back, a union fight update and... what's going on with that high rise? Jeremy Janine is here. I am Kristin Brey, and this is Point Taken.
When severe weather hits and the power goes out, do you have a plan? For reliable power and peace of mind, propane can do that. It only takes about 10 seconds for a propane-powered generator to restore power to your home. So no matter what Mother Nature has in store, you know you're prepared. Learn more at wipga.org. This message is sponsored by your local propane provider and the Wisconsin Propane Education and Research Council.
Does your bathroom belong in a haunted house?
Or maybe it's just time for a refresh.
WTMJ and Sidex are back with the Beautiful Bathroom Contest.
One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. It's easy. Snap a pic of your scary shower,
terrifying tub,
or even just one you're tired of, and enter now at WTMJ.com.
Sidex makes it easy to go from fright to fabulous.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Does our Inspired Closets team make dreams come true?
Every day, Dan. From consultation to design to installation, the whole process is built around our clients.
Which is how we earn our 5-star reviews. It's our team that makes the difference.
Inspired Closets is more than just organization. It's an investment in you.
Get started today at inspiredclosets.com.
Inspired Closets Milwaukee, a wife and husband team.
Bring every detail of your world into clear focus with personalized eye care at Shopko Optical. Vince Vitrano here. The experienced and caring team of eye care professionals at Shopko provide comprehensive eye exams tailored to your unique vision needs. Need glasses, contacts, both? From expert care to the perfect prescription eyewear for your lifestyle. Get everything in one convenient visit. Call Shopko Optical or visit shopko.com to schedule your exam. Shopko Optical. Partners in your eye care.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
Neck and back surgeries can be risky. Your spine deserves the best. That's why professional athletes choose Neurospine Center of Wisconsin. We can help you too. With the top nationally rated spine surgeons in the state for quality outcomes, you can trust the professionals at Neurospine Center of Wisconsin. Get a second opinion in just a few clicks. Now offered virtually throughout Wisconsin. Visit nscwi.com. Whether you want to get back into the game or just get back to life, go where the pros go. Neurospine Center of Wisconsin. Your spine health is our passion.
Goodyear, Dunlop, Kelly, Continental, General, you name it, we got it.
Plus, free flat tire repair, free tire rotations, and more.
So when you're due for tire service, schedule it at richlawns.com.
That's Rich Lawns with 2 N's.
Rich Lawns.
All right, we're still talking to Jeremy Janine of Urban Milwaukee. Let's start with the stalled high rise, because we've been talking about this for the last couple weeks as far as contractors just walking off the site and not really knowing what was going to happen. So this is right off of the river, right?
Right off the river, right. If you're looking for where it is, right next to the Marcus Performing Arts Center, there was for years and 50 plus years a 1-story floral warehouse there. So the dream use on a river, a windowless building. So a very logical site to develop a new high rise. This company out of Madison, Neutral, new company, launched during the pandemic, said, we're going to build these mass timber buildings all over. They built one in Madison, a 10-story building. Mass timber, again, is an engineered product. It's lighter than steel and long-term, hopefully cheaper, more environmentally friendly, can be built faster, but it's essentially made by combining layers of lumber in a material that's actually safer than steel because it won't buckle during a fire. So, which steel gets really hot and then it collapses. So they had these grand plans, 31-story building, no city funding, press conference in June, big kickoff, construction starts, and then late September, everything comes to a halt.
Mm-hmm.
Now the second phase of their big plan is becoming an issue at City Hall because across the street there's the Marcus Center parking garage.
Mm-hmm.
The city owns the land, the Marcus Center owns the structure. There's an agreement between both sides that, the structure is nearing the end of its life. Let's redevelop it. Then whatever comes next will include parking for the Marcus Center, but the city will also get some new building that'll generate tax revenue in addition to the Marcus Center lease. The city, going back to 2024, said, hey, these Neutral guys, they're one of 3 bidders. They have the best bid. They want to build a 55-story mass timber building, tallest building in the world, tallest mass timber building in the world. They'll have 2 other high rises, part of it. Great plan. Let's give them the bid. Area Alderman Bob Bauman goes, not so fast. These guys have never built a building. And he looked like a curmudgeon at this point, saying, stop this grand plan.
Well, I mean, there's, Bauman's not always like a pro, like he's more risk averse, I would say sometimes.
Yes, yeah. Fair assessment. And so in 2024, he looks like a curmudgeon. In late 2025, he looks like a genius. And because, hey, I thought this all was going to fall apart. And sure enough, it did. And so there was a tense meeting at City Hall earlier this week where Bauman was literally said, hey, you can thank me now for this, to Department of City Development Commissioner Lafayette Crump, who said, no, we got to give them time to figure this out. I'm not ready to pull the plug on this city-owned site at the moment. We need to let them figure out the private site. The mayors and Lafayette Crump, the commissioner of the Department of City Development, have had a meeting with the developers at the Neutral project. Lafayette didn't disclose much of what was discussed in that meeting, other than he said the expectation of himself and the mayor is that this project gets done, meaning the first phase that's under construction. Now, several industry sources I've talked to have said, Lafayette had all these examples of things that have stopped, and there's 2, and then started again. The Couture had a pause to work out some engineering issues. Lots of other projects have done that. The sources I've talked to and my own knowledge of just covering this is they've never stopped at a point when the building was in such a vulnerable state. And what I mean by vulnerable is there's lots of rebar exposed at a moment. You have a partially complete foundation, and winter is approaching, and the contractors walked off the site. They've spray painted over their own name at the site to cover up the C.D. Smith name.
They're like, we're not associated with this.
That's exactly what they're doing. And there's rumors that now these different investors in the project have walked away, and that the reason the pause happened is C.D. Smith wasn't being paid, and that the building actually will take $25 million than it initially was thought to complete the building. And the bank's not going to give them a loan for that, so Neutral needs to go out and raise that money, and their existing investors are trying to walk away. I don't have confirmation of many of those things other than Commissioner Crump did divulge that, yes, that $25 million gap is directionally accurate, that there is this big gap they need to raise. He expressed optimism it's going to be resolved. Bauman and many members of the committee were not so confident and wanted to pull the plug on selling the city-owned site next door to them. 6-month timeline is reached. Council's going to revisit it in 3 weeks.
Okay. So
to be continued.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, because I'm not a developer. So it's like, do they get it? Do they partner with another developer and like co-own the building?
Well, that's some of Lafayette's examples of projects that have paused. And I'm going to go from memory here. Point on the River, which is where Screaming Tuna is. Park Lafayette, which is the corner of Prospect and Lafayette. He said the Staybridge Suites, which is now a MSOE dorm in Qdoba. All of those projects involved one key thing that he never suggested was coming here, which was a bankruptcy of the developer, where all the investors got wiped out, the lender got punished in the end, and then new investors came in and finished the project. And that is probably likely what's coming here. But
and if that's what happens, then obviously they're not going to get the Marcus parking structure deal.
Right, which is why Bowen's like, say thank you to me. I did a good thing holding this up. The council seemed to agree. Lafayette Crump said, no, that's a bad sign to the development community.
Okay. All right.
So we'll have plenty more on that. There'll be lots of opportunities to talk in greater detail.
All right, let's take one more break, and then we'll wrap up and talk about what you are watching for this week. He's Jeremy Janine, and I'm Kristin Brey on Point Taken.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Committee from Milwaukee Weight Loss. Yes, I can't believe it, but you should believe it because I lost now 46 pounds since January. How did I do it? Milwaukee Weight Loss. Not the shots, not the gimmicky stuff, the meals, bars, shakes, just hard work, willpower, eating less, still getting my 10,000 steps in. But it reset my metabolism because I've been off the reduction program for a while now, and I was actually still losing some weight. And the weight comes off. It's doctor-developed and natural and helped thousands of people just like me. And certainly you lose that body weight in just 8 weeks. Then you got to maintain, most people, 20 or 30 pounds of weight loss. If you have a reunion or a wedding or a vacation you're looking forward to, this is the answer for you. It was for me. Milwaukee Weight Loss, incredible team. Their coaches are amazing. Part of the success story that I had was those coaches at Milwaukee Weight Loss. Schedule your free consultation today, or go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com or call 262-393-2334. I'm reading it slow because somebody said, you're reading it too fast. 262-393-2334. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
I'm WTMJ's Sandy Max. What makes senior living at Three Pillars so special? Let's hear from my friend Bill.
We didn't want to be sitting in our house alone. And I was glad because I didn't have to do all the chores around the house that I was sick of doing. I decided to get involved in a lot of the different activities, like the theater group. I run TED Talks once a month. I'm chairman of the library committee. The other things I like about Three Pillars is the outdoor things. And there's a beautiful fishing pond. It's just a great, great place to live.
Schedule a tour today at threepillars.org.
From my family and myself, I would like to say thank you to Gruber Law Offices for taking such good care of us.
I would say thank you because you were so human and so much of a friend during the whole process.
I'm super grateful for them representing me and doing all that they did for me.
I would just say thank you for making me feel better.
That's why I'm here, to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Gene Miller here for my friends at Hometown Windows and Doors. Unfortunately, it's not too early to start thinking about those upcoming heating bills. At Hometown's huge New Berlin showroom, you can compare energy-efficient windows from Anderson, Pella, Marvin, and more. Like me, you'll get a dedicated project consultant to guide you to the products that best fit your home, style, and budget, along with employee carpenters who respect your home. Do what I did. Contact Hometown Windows and Doors today. Hometown with an E for your every window and door need. 414-329-1200 or online at hometownwindows.com.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
At Wisconsin's own AccuNet Mortgage, our closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 less than the banks or the mortgage guys with the Rocket for exactly the same rate. Find out how much you can save at ACCUNET.com.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Midday News with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
Well, Milwaukee Public School children are still being screened for lead, and Milwaukee Health Commissioner Dr. Michael Todoritis says the focus on those screenings will continue into early 2026.
Bringing you the latest in news, sports, traffic, and weather.
The sheriff's major crash assistance team is on the scene, and that intersection will be shut down for several hours. Please avoid the area.
Every weekday from noon until 3 p.m. Only on WTMJ. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
All right, we have a question for Jeremy on the text line. So as soon as the Brewers season is done, hopefully only after a World Series win, knock on wood, the DOT is going to drop the bomb that the 8-year I-94 rebuild project will be starting in earnest. This has been moved up from the earlier loose announcements and immediate long-term lane closures. Both directions will begin. Haven't heard this reported anywhere, but received this openly from DOT engineers at the State Fair. Have you heard about this?
It would not, if that was to be the exact timing, that would not surprise me.
Okay.
A story I've been keep rolling over I have a list of stories. I have I'm going to write this. I'm going to write this. I've been joking. I'm going to write about habitual parking offenders, and that's actually going to happen because it goes into effect in November. But one of the stories I've been rolling over for months is the DOT keeps buying I think it's 6 or 7 target properties, and they've been buying them and they're applying to demolish them. Red Star East, anyone that's drift traffic, but rerouted traffic to go that way. So it would not surprise me at all if they're like, yeah, we're ready to ramp up. They have the funding. They've clearly signaled that eventually that will come. So, yes, that
sounds right.
Hammer will drop. That traffic problems are coming. I've actually been talking to people about buying homes. They're like, so if you work downtown, you're buying a home in West Dallas and you rely on 94. That's going to be
bad time.
A bad couple of years.
Well,
then you'll
for your commute, it will be
yes, and then you'll have a brand new road eventually. But think about your commute across Milwaukee, and again, we're talking about the stretch from 16th Street to about 74th Street is going to be ripped up, expanded by one lane, but it's a complete reconstruction, unlike the kind of Band-Aids we've been getting for a while.
Yeah. That'll be fun. That'll be so fun. So happy I live and work on the east side.
I would love to figure out how to invest in orange barrels because clearly those companies are doing well.
Gosh, and it's just the amount of orange barrels. It's like no one's even working here. Like why are these barrels here? Just unreal. All right, we got about a minute left. What do you got coming on this week or the upcoming week?
We'll have a story later today. Great reporting by Graham Kilmer based on records request to MCTS that shows that they knew about their deficit for a long time. And I have not finished editing it. It's what I get to do when I leave the station, that they've worked to cover it up and not release that data for longer than they've previously let on. We also have a story you should read about anodyne and the unionization effort there. Mm-hmm. There's a vote that took place. It's been agreed that the workers, yes, voted. Fairwave, the private equity company that bought up Anodyne and several other coffee shops, has delayed actually implementing or bargaining on an actual contract, even though they're required to now.
Got it. All right. Well, as always, very fun to have you here and be just an encyclopedia of all the things happening in Milwaukee. Check all of Jeremy's work and his teammates' work at urbanmilwaukee.com. Jeremy Jean, we will see you next Thursday. Steve will still not be here.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Now we're going to go to Midday News and go Brewers.
Welcome to our Everyday Health feature, sponsored by the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network. Breast reconstruction is an